Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast covering Ipswich Town. Since 2015, my name is Benjamin Bloom and you are watching or listening to the Flagship show, available each and every Monday. So for sometimes entertaining, always informative hour of football conversation, make your Monday a Blue Monday. Craig is here and Craig is going to talk to me about relief.
Comic hand.
What is he doing? Football relief. How
yeah, wasn't it? It was an enjoyable Saturday evening, I would imagine, for most, wasn't it? And
I must admit, that's my first thought. That was my first thought.
Really?
As well. Yeah, of course.
Oh my goodness me! There's the subtitle of the evidence. I thought you would, Craig. You would have had an emotional lift this morning.
Any emotional exhaustion of air? No, what the word I'm looking for? Yeah,
expulsion.
Release. Hopefully, everyone had an enjoyable Saturday evening on the back of yesterday, and has woken up this morning and rubbed their eyes and realised it's not all a dream. It did actually happen.
And it's one win at League One level, but we're very, very happy. A much needed win, and the first time on the pod talking about one. David Diamond is back from holiday. David, are you feeling relieved? Make your answer cleaner than Craig's, please.
I am feeling relieved, Ben. Yes, I have. I can take great relief from that result yesterday, I think. Yeah. Onwards and upwards now.
We got into... we were already in crisis mode on the Q&A pod on Wednesday. So off we go to Lincoln, game number 9 of the season. No wins so far, no clean sheets. I keep harking back to conversations we had. I think it was you, Dave. What if he happens? What if he gets to October and he's not in the top 10 or whatever? So cool. Calls for the manager to go, all sorts of stuff this week. So hopefully this may be the start of something. And Craig, it's off to last season's losing playoff finalists, Lincoln City, with the caveat that George Grant and Brennan Johnson have now sort of gone up to the championship. But again, as Paul Cook would be at pains to point out, a well-coached team with, a well-practiced system, certainly longer than ours. Now, I want to play a little word association game with you. Let me just go through the Lincoln team. I've got a football stadium, a famous album, and a genre-defining toy. So when I read these names, I want to see if you two can get all three. Play along at home. A football stadium from these players' names, a famous album, and a genre-defining toy. So here's the Lincoln team. Griffiths in goal. Bramall, Ayoima, Monsma, Paul, Ted Bishop, we'll talk about him in a second. Bridcut, Fiorini, Maguire. There's your replacement for Johnson or Grant, however you want to think about it. Hopper and Scully. First of all, the important stuff. Did you get any of the three, the word association there, Craig?
I'll go for Hopper.
The space hopper. Yes, there it is. Did you get any of them, Dave?
Yeah, I went for that Bramall Action Man toy. No, obviously. Obviously Bramall Lane was tucked away in there, Ben.
Did either of you get the classic album that I'm thinking? This is a bit tenuous. Look at the Goalkeeper.
Okay, yeah. We'll have that one then. That'll please Statman and Olimar.
There you go. The Joshua tree. Joshua Griffiths.
Gone above me, but anyway. What was that?
There you go. Ted Bishop, Dave, thoughts on seeing him in a Lincoln shirt up against this?
Yeah, I mean, when he was announced, you always get the dread. Is this gonna, come back? Is this one that's gonna come back and bite us in the proverbial? But as it panned out, fortunately, it didn't. But no, good to see him back, albeit seemingly, well, spoiler alert, later on, I think he obviously didn't last the full 90 minutes, which is no surprise for poor old Teddy over the years. But, hopefully he's,
78, Dave, hey?
Sorry?
78 minutes he last week.
78 was it? Okay, yeah.
An on-brand number for an Ipswich Town podcast as well.
No, that's true.
Craig, are you ready to play some Ipswich Town 21-22 roulette? There's no silly game with this. I'm just literally going to name the team. Hladky returns in goal. We believe an issue close to the game for Christian Welton. Donacien in at right back. Edmondson and Burgess, which appears to be the way forward. Hayden Coulson starts at left back. Of course, Sammy Morsey is still serving a central midfield suspension. So Lee Evans is captain alongside Tom Carroll. Wes Burns and Scott Fraser, the de facto wide men. Remember, they're not wingers. They're inside forwards, so to speak. And the return of Bersant Salina, kind of out of nowhere after some quotes about him not going to be ready for a while, wearing number 43 in the 10 position up top. Macaulay Bonne. Craig, what are your takeaways from yesterday's 11?
Well, I don't think it was much of... Well, it was a surprise that Hladky was playing. I think Cook said afterwards that it was Walton's abductor, which...
What's an abductor?
Apparently it's a muscle. I think
I was going for a body part there, Craig.
I'm not sure.
I've got asking you about body parts.
I'm not sure I've got one. I'm not sure I've got one. It's near your hip, isn't it? Hip thigh region. I believe
it's not your abs, is it? That's your abdominal. Yeah. So I think it is somewhere round about the hip.
Listen to the level of medical biological chat here. It's sensational. So he's hurt a muscle in his body somewhere, Craig.
In and around the middle bit of his body. Yeah. That up there isn't a doctor's certificate, by the way. That's something different.
Sounds like you need. If it's around the middle of his body, sounds like you need some relief. But anyway, go on.
Oh, stop it! That's going to go all showing it. Keep talking, Craig. I'm going to Google abductor muscle.
Yeah, don't Google it, mate. It's done. We told you where it is.
He's told you where it is.
It was on the old operation. You talk about hoppers, space hoppers. On the operation, man. It was somewhere near his funny bone, I think. Yeah, KV-wise dropped completely out of the 16, which is a bit of a shock that there were no fullbacks on the bench. Darcy, I think, has been playing well. To be fair to him, whenever he's come on, he's done all right. Poor old Vincent Young's having a bit of a torrid time, isn't he? Doesn't look up to it. Doesn't look particularly fit. He's just lost that sharpness at the moment. Probably was a bit of a shock, I say, that there were no fullbacks at all on the bench. Just Wolfenden as a centre half. Carroll did well on Tuesday night. He kept things ticking along nicely with Morsey, and probably deserved coming in. As we all know, that Harper Evans double act hasn't really reached the heights of Morecambe and Wise or Cannon and Ball just yet, has it? It's struggled along. Fraser out wide again, hasn't done too much out wide. He's been tried in number 10 along with about half a dozen others. But as you say, he's not there to be a winger. No, he's there to be a wide attacker, wide midfielder. And then our good friend Bersant coming in as I say the latest guy in at number 10. And as you say, it was sort of whether it was a red herring during the week that,
I like that.
he may or may not be playing Mr. Appleton. We don't know just yet. And then all of a sudden he appears. But so I think having him there. That sort of those two central midfielders and that number 10 have been our downfall. That Bermuda Triangle of football just seems to just disappear, doesn't it?
Dave. A Bermuda Triangle and a red herring within one monologue.
None of this is scripted either. This
is good stuff.
This is the beer I've got in my big mug.
It's 9:45 a.m. Everybody, by the way.
But I say having him there, he probably does just demand to be passed to, doesn't it? You're not going to really bypass Salina, so. Let's see how long that formation, those personnel stay fit for, and therefore in place for. But and looking at the bench as well, Christ Almighty, that was a ridiculous strength bench for League One, wasn't
it? Dave, what's your reaction to what Craig has said and the 11 that we saw yesterday?
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. Really, they say a week's a long time in politics. It's a long time in football, isn't it? I mean, a short time in football. I mean, Hladky totally out of the picture, not even in the squad last week. One injury to Walton, and I've got to say, a very dodgy performance by Holy against West Ham in the week, and he's straight back in. So look, who knows? Who knows how long this abductor? Did you find out where it was, by the way?
Well, I was hoping you would mention that because I kind of Googled it and I didn't get an obvious answer within like the first 10% of my laptop page here, so I just kind of gave up.
You weren't Googling hand relief, were you, instead?
Our surgeon.
He's not letting it go.
Our surgeon followers our surgeon subscribers will let us know about that. But no, I mean, he's not afraid to just pitch people in, is he? A bit like Edmondson last week, who came straight into the side last week without playing. All right, probably did play behind closed doors games, I'm not sure, but not really playing a competitive game. Straight there with Selena, and I think Craig's right. Perhaps a little bit sort of smokescreen signals given out to Appleton and everybody else with regard to Selena and exactly where his fitness was. But I think, again, I've said before, just look at the bench. I mean, for League One, that's just bloody ridiculous, isn't it? It really is. So happy enough with that side yesterday. And again, I think Craig was there on Tuesday. No surprise, Carroll starting in centre mid with Morsey on Tuesday, and I thought Carroll did really well first half. He looked really quite good getting on the ball first half. Again, like some of our midfielders this season, faded a bit, didn't land so much on the ball after the break. But I thought probably did enough to justify his inclusion yesterday.
The aforementioned bench there: Holly, Wolfenden, Aluko, Harper, Piggott, Norwood, Connor Chaplin as well. So I do agree.
Again, I think another point we should make, and I know they certainly said on Suffolk as well. Brenner and Summarise and Matthew, I think, said on Suffolk that perhaps Aluko could feel a little bit aggrieved not to have a start yesterday, because I was away down in Cornwall last Saturday, so fortunately missed the Bolton game. But apparently he was probably the pick of a poor bunch last week.
Yeah, he was well.
As soon as I saw that team come in and Selena was in it, he's a good problem solver player, Selena. Not quite to Mick McCarthy when we had Tom Lawrence levels where it was right. You lot keep the goals out, and Lawrence, you're going to take all the set plays and shoot whenever you like. But do you know what I mean, Craig? Having a player who can dribble and create, and we always talk about an outlet as being a big striker that you kick the ball up to and they hold it up, but sometimes that guy with the first touch who can then just move away, and people back off him as well, don't they? And they double up. It could be an interesting one having him back in, Craig, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. As you say, he just relieves pressure a bit in a different way, doesn't it? You know that you can ping it into him and he'll control it. And
every relief now is just I can't. It's like looking at a car crash just now. Sorry, go on.
We'll keep it. We'll keep it clean for the rest. Yeah, promise. He'll just get you, and he'll just get you up the pitch, won't he? He'll allow you to push further up the pitch. And what happened yesterday is there's already an understanding between him and Carroll. These are obviously good footballers. Him, Carroll, Fraser.
Let's Swansea together. Olsen. Carroll and Selena. Did they ships passed in the night? Carry on talking. I might be able to Google that.
Yeah, good question, actually. But good footballers get an understanding, quicker than others, don't they? And I say yesterday, it already looked like things were clicking. I appreciate they've had a week on the training ground and another week after yesterday as well. So fingers crossed. They'll all get some sort of understanding.
I think you're right. I always try and bring a obviously 80-81 analogy into it. Even in the great sides, it's Town. Let's just give the ball to Tyson. If they wanted a breather, just go the ball to Tyson and keep it for 30 seconds.
No, absolutely.
And probably the same at this level with Selena. And you only have to listen to comments from Appleton and other managers. I don't think this is sour grapes. They are genuinely envious when they look at our squad and the players we've got at League One level, for goodness sake.
Especially the likes of Lincoln, who had a great season last season. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, are they stronger or weaker than last season? They may be a bit stronger in terms of, the pattern of play building, the experience of the manager, the upward trajectory. But,
quality-wise,
a couple of the best players go out, don't they? I didn't mention Morgan Rogers as well, the winger they had last season, who's at Bournemouth now, isn't he?
Just gone. Yeah, saw that.
Here is, I mean, this came to Burgess really quickly, this chance early on. It's a bit of a, how did this not go in? But it's quite a tricky chance, Dave. Obviously, it will go down in the underlying metrics as a big chance because he's so close
it comes to him like
he puts it against the crossbar and then
in an odd
comes back down, and then there's a chance for Evans to sort of scoop it in. But unlucky not to take the lead there, Dave.
Yeah, he reacts quite well to it, probably, because I think that comes as you see that ball come across. That sort of defender sort of like leaning to one side, the defender on the edge of the 6-yard box there. I'm sorry, closer in, about 3 yards out there, tries to get his head around it, and he sort of heads it away, but straight to Burgess there. You can see there, he just sort of reacts to it. It's almost a involuntary, hits him on the head almost. Doesn't have time to react or direct it in, really. So, but a bit unfortunate at that pace as well, really.
And he does it again, Craig. For whatever problems we've had these past first 8 games, we appear to have a striker who, providing they stay fit and the team is functioning remotely in a decent attacking way, is going to score a lot of goals. I'll give you glass half empty, Craig. Michael Appleton, let's just raise the elephant in the room, was very angry about this goal, and it's one of those where you ask the question, if that was against my team, would I agree with what Michael Appleton was saying? And then you have to factor in, that Michael Appleton probably has to send a message to his fans to keep them up. But Coulson, look, let's take it from the start. They just get caught square, don't they? It's not even that quick a bit of passing by us, and the ball's moved out to Coulson. We've talked forever and a day about fullbacks, quote, bombing on. He doesn't really have to bomb on. It's a Mark Venus type trajectory for the cross, isn't it? But does Bonne foul Iyoima or not with a clever little shove in the back before a very good header? And you can take apart the whole goal, Craig, but just start with the issue of the potential foul. And if you're a Lincoln fan, would you be yelling at the ref?
Yeah, I think you would, wouldn't you? I think it's as you say, it's a clever nudge, isn't it? And it probably is a 50-50 call. You will get it, and sometimes you'll get it against you. But you know damn well that the three of us here, had it been at the other end of the pitch and Burgess had been the one that had a little nudge in the back just before Scully slams it in from 12 yards, then we'd be saying, what's a Stonewall free kick? Why has it not been given? And as you say again, that it wasn't bombing on Coulson. It sort of started at right back and made its way all the way across our back four. And Coulson broke forward, did like he does, 20 yards, 20, 30 yards, and got a quick crossing. He didn't take it all the way to the byline. He crossed it from, 25 yards out, didn't he? But it's a lovely cross, isn't it? It's curling away, and Bonne just times it perfectly. And the connection and the power he gets from being so far out, 12 yards out, is just a great. It's
a pace on the cross, isn't it?
It's a lovely, clean contact.
You summed it up, Ben. It's a Venus type crossing, and it is an unusual one because in those situations, every time I'm certainly right in front of where I sit and where Craig sits, when you're looking at left back, every time him and Penny have got the ball in that position, I think that's the first time I can recall them singing a crossing like that this season. They're very much is get the ball inside, make the run, get it to the byline, then whip it across. So it was a great early cross, and he slips, doesn't he? It's clever by Bonne because there's a nudge there, definitely there is. But you're right, Ben. What a header! He just adjusts, doesn't he? It's a great header.
It's difficult. Before I went to work yesterday, I was watching Billy Sharp playing for Sheffield United, and everyone looks at Sammy Morsey and thinks Shahouse, don't they? Whereas Billy Sharp, you think, Billy Sharp, he's a classic guy, isn't he? But no one notices his Shahousery because, like Bonne perhaps yesterday, I don't think we can get the position of the referee's not quite in shot. He's going to be looking at Coulson and then following the ball over and relying on the assistant referee. So, maybe a Billy Sharp level of Shahousery rather than
also, I think, probably
Sammy Morsey clattering.
Oh, probably Appleton's a little bit pissed off with his centre half just not being stronger there as well.
I knew you would say that, Dave. Got to be stronger and stand up to it, Craig.
And there wasn't that much. There was a couple of guys on the edge of the box who complained the ref, but his centre half pair wasn't.
They weren't all over the ref, were
they?
No. Chance for Wes Burns in the sort of inside left position. Does this hit the bar, Craig?
No, I think it might just clip it as it goes over. But that was just as you were saying earlier about Carroll and Selena. Yeah. That was a little bit of interplay, which I think starts with Bonne tracking back and winning the ball, and that's when Carroll flicks it behind him.
Oh, that was Carroll. That's beautiful. You like that, Dave?
Yeah,
through to Selena, and Selena sort of plays the reverse pass, and Burns has run from all the way on the right wing to be in the left channel. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? Hopefully, fingers crossed, that this week on the training ground has just got them more understanding and movement and off the ball, etc., etc.
But Dave, it's that vertical passing that if you can execute, which Selena can do whilst carrying the ball as well, that's the killer, isn't it? You can move the ball for the first goal 9 times out of 10 sort of horizontally across the pitch, and it's hard. But that type of cutting through on transition.
You're just taking defenders out of the game. You're taking defenders out of the game, and as that old cliche, he's got that in his locker, hasn't he?
Another cliche. Sorry, Ben. It's another cliche. It's diagonal runs and straight balls, or straight balls and diagonal balls and straight runs. It's one or the other, isn't it? And that was a perfect example of it.
Brilliant. Yeah. I was just going to bring up Macaulay Bonne's numbers because I think they're worth reading. Well, I get more and more excited about a potential striker scoring a lot of goals. The number we need to give you, I mean, it's 4 goals in 3-5 for the season. Scoring frequency, a goal every 79 minutes, which decent. Is, if you're a goal every 180 minutes as a striker, the goal every other game, unless you're a Kevin Phillips character or a David Johnson back in the day for us. But they're very exciting numbers, Dave, aren't they?
Well, be even better if we cast our minds back to Cheltenham. But they just are. And that's what impressed me most about him is the way he came back from that Cheltenham miss, because that could destroy. But he's still a quite experienced, played at a higher level, but still a relatively young lad, local lad. And the character he's come back, because look, he did get a bit of a slating for that, and arguably rightly so. How he's come back from that, goals do the talking. Yeah, superb, and he just looks like a proper. I didn't realise he was that good, I must admit. Just looks like a proper, as you said, Ben. Looking at those stats, a proper all-round centre forward, can lead the line, pretty good in the air, intelligent running, and he can finish.
Goals pay the rent. And Keegan does his shit.
Share.
And fair play to Cook for keeping him in, because he's got
absolutely.
He's got Piggott on the bench, hasn't he?
Yeah, like I said, Cook could have easily left him out after that. What was it for it was the MK game, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Well, and he could have argued he was doing it for his own good as well.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. No, great character.
Craig, you were talking about the balance of the bench. The solution in the second half, be interested in your thoughts on this. So Coulson goes out on 51, and I believe Burgess goes and plays left back, and Wolfenden goes and plays centre back. And then 15 minutes later, Harper is put in. Now, forgive me, I was working yesterday, so anyone at the game will be able to fill me in on this. But did he then go and play front left, or did he make up in a midfield 3 to kind of shut up shop a little bit, Craig?
He sort of played nominally number 10, really. He like for like with Selena, although he did drift a lot to the left.
Right.
And interestingly, in post-match, when Cook was talking, he said that we've been playing Raheem as a defensive midfielder. I'm not entirely sure he's suited to that. He may be more suited playing further forward. Oh, crikey, we don't need another guy who can play number 10. That'd be like our 8th or 9th of the season so far. But it was also quite interesting that, well, I thought we were signing players to fit into this system, and you sign this guy and he can't play in one of the 2 defensive midfield positions. But when he came on, he was very good. He was neat. He was tidy again. He linked up well with Carroll. He linked up well with Fraser. And as we know, he's a very good, potentially a Rolls Royce of a footballer, isn't he, Harper?
Right. Highly
Dave,
technical player.
You can do the other refereeing call here, and in the interest of balance, we have to do this. This is right back Reagan Paul at the end of the game, and I'm looking at the hatching on the pitch.
They're notorious. They're notorious for doing it slightly off, Ben. They do it diagonally over at
depending where the hard camera is. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, my views on this, Dave. And by the way, the ball's gone into the back post, and Paul, the right back, has sort of run off the back and stuck it in the net. If you're using Arsene Wenger's feet rule, he's onside. But by the actual rules, I think, and we don't have a conclusive answer, is he leaning offside? Am I stretching? We don't have a conclusive angle.
One. If you go back to that picture, it looks like, is it Burgess? If you go back to that shot, is it either Edmondson? I assume it's Burgess. He's left as Edmondson. He looks. It's such a tight one, isn't it? And Ben, this is the whole season. This is, for me, encapsulates the whole season so far. Just fine lines, isn't it? It is fine lines. The missed penalty, the bloody Bonne miss that we've already spoken about, but could have easily disallowed the Bonne goal for a push. Could have easily allowed that goal. It's very fine lines, and yesterday it kind of went for us. But yeah, again, if it was your player, you'd feel a little bit aggrieved, wouldn't you? There,
Craig, we've seen some of them on the VAR in the Premier League, where you look at it and then you see the side on, and you do see Is it the Beat It video where Michael Jackson leans forward like that and
Billie
still
Jean,
keeps his...
Billie Jean, is it?
No, Billie Jean's the one with the floor lights up. It's where he flips the coin into the arcade. No, I might be Smooth Criminal, actually.
Smooth Criminal.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, and then you see the side on, and they are clearly offside, but... again, can we fall back on there not being a conclusive side-on angle there, Craig?
You can do if you want, or you can say it's blatantly offside by onside by about a foot. It's up to you.
In football Twitter, I think you just have to add either "and there's no debate," end of story, or "and it's not even close." Apparently, on football Twitter, that wins the argument there and then, even if you add it after a subjective opinion. I've heard.
I blame the fullback. He shouldn't have been moonwalking in the first place.
I like that a lot. And I tell you what else I like is a 1-0 away win and a clean sheet. Let's have a look at some numbers then, because I'm quite pleased to see these numbers this way around, because we've seen them the other way around and us not winning games. So 55-45 on the possession to Lincoln. 10 shots to 5, but only 2 apiece on target. 8 corners to 3 in Lincoln's favour, but always revealing for you XG people. 0 big chances Lincoln, 1 big chance Ipswich, which would be the Burgess chance as well, not the goal. And I'm just going to scroll down. You'll like this, Dave. Tackles 15-9 in our favour. Interceptions 16-9 in our favour. Clearances 26-10. Craig, we've been wanting the elite League One players to go and do the business at the attacking end, but they've won a tight game there with a clean sheet, haven't they?
Yeah, and it was archetypical game of 2 halves, wasn't it? First half we were very good, very open, expansive, getting forward. Second half it was very much backs to the wall, but Burgess stood up. Edmondson won headers, got blocks in. Obviously, Donacien was, most people's mind was man of the match yesterday for keeping Scully relatively quiet. But and then obviously when Coulson goes off and you bring Wolfenden on, you've now got 3, arguably 4 centre halves playing all along your back 4, which will keep you solid from a defensive
end. Craig, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very. Was it Roy Keane where we had Eastman playing right back, wasn't it, at that time?
Right.
But it obviously keeps you very solid. You'll win, therefore, by virtue, you'll win headers. But obviously, again, you'll be dropping a bit deeper because you're not having Coulson bombing on. You haven't got Vincent Young bombing on. These guys will probably stay where they are. So you're probably inviting more pressure, but by the same token, more capable of absorbing it and getting rid of it. And also, fair play to Flagship. He had they huffed and puffed Lincoln yesterday, second half. They didn't really cut us open too much. A lot of stuff was long range, and Flagship's handling was pretty solid.
Dave, you like that? You like seeing that side of a winning performance?
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. Because we've all agreed. We'll say we've got the fire, certainly the firepower and the creativity up top. But that's what we've been missing. And I got to say, really pleased with Donacien. I mean, Donacien right the way all through this seems to have been a model pro. Absolutely, comes out, never really lets the side down. And as Craig said, he was superb because clearly, obviously, Rich, it wasn't too difficult for once to pick out Lincoln's, danger man. I mean, crikey, just look at that little cameo from the Cambridge game last week. Scully, really, really dangerous player at that level. And, Donacien obviously played him really well. So, no, really pleased with Donacien. And look, we said this all along. Sometimes you almost sort of stumble across this sort of stuff. And look, Vincent Young even struggled. Craig was there Tuesday, even struggled against West Ham a bit. I think it's just a general question mark, I think, about his fitness, and maybe it's almost with him, it's perhaps a bit of a psychological thing about his fitness as well. He's just not the same player, as he was. So very fortunate that Donacien's come in and done so well. So yeah, shame that Coulson with his injury. That's potential a shame, because again, really like the look of him. But again, I think Penny really hasn't let anyone down when he's been playing so far this season. I'm not quite sure he's quite up to Coulson attacking wise, but defensively I don't think he's let anyone down, so there's a natural replacement there. So yeah, let's see.
I'm going to put 2 and 2 together and make 1,000 here, but we've signed players this summer that I never thought we'd get. Obviously massive sympathies to all Derby fans, but we all know the Derby right back Nathan Byrne is a Paul Cook guy, and virtually all of Derby's squad will be for sale in January. And whilst people get distracted by Louis Sibley and Christian Bielik and Max Bird and Lee Buchanan, perhaps Nathan Byrne may become available. And I'm just going to throw it out there in 2 and 2 and get 10. But again, we know what happens there. And speaking to Derby fans, we've been there, believe you me, we've been there with administration. It's not fun, but I'm just saying there's a Paul Cook right back who's going to become available in a couple of months. And
right back Claxon.
We've signed players before that we didn't think we were going to get that had previously played for Paul Cook or Mark Ashton, etc. So there we go. Speaking of Paul Cook, Craig, do you want to hear from him? And I'm not doing the voice. I'm pleased for everyone. You saw Mark Ashton and Mike O'Leary at the end of the game, all our stuff. It means so much to us all. I think sometimes supporters have got to be careful. He nearly said it, didn't he? He nearly said it there. Not when you criticise, you pay your money, you're entitled to do that. We brought in 20 new players. If you look at the performance last week and compare it to this week's performance, you see what the training ground has worked on. And then he mentions the Wednesday game. I get a sense from Paul Cook, and look, he's quite a savvy speaker in respects of saying a lot, but not saying a lot. But did you get a bit of a sense, Craig, of I'm going to repeat the same message I was repeating when we were losing, but from a position of strength, and ergo it has a bit more value this week?
Yeah, and he's asking for each week is just a bit of patience. Just give us some time, and things will come good. He's pretty much promised these things will come good. Just give us a bit of patience on the training ground. And to be fair, this week was not chalk and cheese. Well, it was chalk and cheese. Cross 5-2 to a 1-0 away win. It is chalk and cheese, but they just looked more solid at the back, and they looked with more understanding going forward, which can only be a good thing. And I think personally, it's another good thing that we've got another week off, so we can even build on that week that we've had previously. We haven't got a midweek game that's going to stutter us, if you like. I'm just so pleased for him. I like Paul Cook. I think he's a lovely guy. That bit in his interview where he glanced up to the sky for his old man and stuff like that.
That was emotional. Wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So I just think now, thankfully, we've got that monkey off our back. We've got the first win. We can all just calm down a bit now, give them all a bit of time, a bit of breathing space. Dave knows. Dave's spoken to the guy. He's just a lovely, lovely bloke. No one has got a bad thing to say. Maybe Teddy Bishop has, maybe Alan Judge has, maybe Cole Hughes has, maybe Luke Chambers has. But people who come up to him in the street or maybe bump into him at a golf club, possibly, they've just got nice things to say about him, haven't they?
He's buried you there, Dave. Absolute burial. I love
approachable. An approachable. I'm not talking about Dave now. He's a lovely, approachable.
Oh, Dave is too, actually. Yeah.
Oh, of course he is. Of course,
feel free.
But
everything you said, he is just so open and sort of friendly and honest, and the sort of guy that you want to, you wanted to work out.
Yeah,
feel free to approach David again, but there is a protocol here. You can talk to him for 90 seconds.
Only 90
tops.
seconds.
Don't make eye contact at any point. And if you want a photo, that needs to be done within the first 30 seconds, and that does count towards your 90 seconds with David.
I'm afraid it will. After that, we will be charging. There is a fee after that.
He's a bit like Marco Bielsa, aren't you, David? You got to talk to the guy who's standing next to you, and
I
that
met
guy
someone
will talk
really.
to you.
Did you call him Marco there, Craig?
Yeah, maybe.
Marco Van Basten.
Yeah, there was a guy who came up at half time on Tuesday night actually, and I always forget when these people come up, pod and stuff, pod and stuff like that. I always forget to ask their names to give them a name check. So if you're listening, you know who you are. Came up and said hello. Really nice to meet you. And
did he make eye contact though, Dave?
Sorry?
Did he make eye contact with you?
No, so.
Good.
No,
good. He knows. He
Yeah.
knows the diamond rule. Let's go to Twitter, and something's caught my eye here because I've just brought my Twitter up for the Blue Monday questions. If you look down the right, if you're watching on YouTube, it's suggesting David Diamond and Craig Fimbo as people to follow down the side there. Can you see that? That's very interesting. Another example of the world reading our minds. I do have a little gimmick here that may or may not be listening to me as I'm talking and giving me suggestions as to who to follow. You can go and follow these two boys at David Diamond or at Fims75. You can follow me at Benjamin Bloom. And the Blue Monday Twitter is at Blue Monday ITFC, where we have plenty of questions. Let's go to you, Craig, first. Nice simple one there. At Crablet81. Is Janoy Danassian our best right back? Go for more than a one-word answer.
Yes, he is currently. I think he is. As Dave said, he's been a solid professional, and even in the pre-season games, he was pretty much a de facto captain in the pre-season games that we all went to. And he doesn't give you that attacking instinct going forward, but at this point in time, we probably don't need that. We probably do need a little bit of solidity, and he's offering it. And I say yesterday, he did get into the box occasionally. I think he won the corner that Burgess hit against the crossbar in the end. So he wasn't sitting just in front of Hladky. He was getting forward as well. But yes, he is 100% currently the best right, which is an absolute bloody travesty for poor old Vincent Young, isn't it? Geez, we just got to hope it's not going to be another Emir Hughes where you hang all your hopes.
Comparison, Craig.
Yeah, you hang all your hopes on this one shining light. That those half a dozen games he had when he first came in, you thought, bloody hell's bells, here we go. And the poor guy is just looks bereft of confidence. He's just looks so Christ, is me talking here, but he just looks so unfit. Last week, Dave, the Bolton game where he got hooked after 20 minutes, he made a run down the right-hand side towards us in our corner near that corner flag and turned back. I said on Friday night in the pre-match show, running back to halfway, he looked like he was dragging a tyre behind him. He was just so slow, he just couldn't get there. That's a concern, I'd have thought.
You're going to come in on that, Dave? Sorry.
Yeah, he just seems fragile, doesn't he? I think the word is. It's sad to see. But look, he's young enough. Mid-20s, isn't he? He's hopefully young enough to come back from that. I think Emir Hughes is perhaps a couple of years older than that, only 2 or 3 years older than that, maybe. But yeah, you think he's young enough and he can come back from that because when he first came, he was just magnificent, wasn't he? For goodness, okay, and perhaps a very average side, but he was superb, wasn't he?
Dave, let's read this one from Ben at Ben Dawkins. Sat amongst the home fans, our time-wasting tactics at goal kicks were really getting to them. Does this mean we're getting a bit more streetwise? Is this a case of, Dave, people only notice it when it works, don't they? Do you know what I mean? That type of thing. Everyone tries it.
I think it is a bit streetwise, and we've all said to get out of that league, you are not just going to get out of that league by playing pretty nice football. It's not. It is going to be attrition, and it's going to be to coin a phrase, it's going to be shithousery, isn't it? And fine, if we do that, what team isn't going to do that when its back's to a wall at 1-0 up? So no, I haven't got an issue with that at all.
Sorry. I was going to say that we did try against Wimbledon. Hladky got booked for time waste, and then we ended up conceding in the final 10 seconds that he added on. But it's the same when teams come to our place and they're winning the game or drawing the game, and it gets to the last 10 minutes, and they start shithousing and wasting time. I've got no problem with it. If you're an away team and you've got into a position whereby you've got a result away from home, good luck to you. The onus is on the home team to not be in that position.
And also, having said that, there was like 7 minutes of added on time yesterday.
Yeah, so good point.
Certainly, I think the ref sort of allowed something for that, if that was the case.
Yeah, we could have an entire podcast on the 60-minute real-time stop clock idea, which has had some legs for quite a few years, hasn't it? But there we go.
I'm sure Dave, they used to do that on Sky. Sky used to, at the end of every match, put on the
do you remember Burnley v Cardiff? I think it was Warnock and Dyche. Ball was in play for like 35 minutes or something.
There's your money's worth.
Always get your money's worth with Warnock. You know that. Dave, just a quick one here. Tim's asking about a crap. I was suggesting in the Wednesday show, I think I said somewhere in Rushmere, David Diamond is winding up for the biggest crap in Blue Monday history.
Yeah,
but listeners, you're not going to get that today, I'm afraid.
No,
you're not going to get
a no way today.
What you wish for either.
No, none of that. None of that today.
Let's have a look at another question. Whose turn is it? It's Craig's, isn't it? Let's go, John. There at John Ab 12345. I was there yesterday. Brilliant winning team performance. Carol Evans played really well together as deeper midfielders. Selena Fraser struck up a good early understanding. Emerson Burgess were immense. Would you chaps go with that team next week, Craig? Obviously, this will be filled in more on the preview show, but with a win now, can you see this thing of, right, that's the team, get into it now for all of the players not in it, including Championship Player of the Month Connor Chaplin from December 2019?
Yeah, I think so. And obviously, Coulson, touch and go, I don't think he's going to be fit. As you say, Penny will slip in there. But Paul Cook said himself he's loyal to players. He doesn't like swapping out players for the sake of it. But obviously, tells Sonia Luco that. But there's no reason to change the team. Now, as we said, yesterday's performance was a good combination of backs to the wall, solid defending, which you want to see, and also good combinations and understandings going forward. So there is no reason, injuries aside, to change it at all. I don't think. No, I say now we're starting to get these. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Morsey comes back. If we win the next game or draw Wednesday and win the one after, whatever, and Sam Morsey sort of sudden fit, we'll see what happens then.
I think we all know what's going to happen then, Craig. But there you go.
Nice problem to have.
Dave,
it's not a bad problem.
Can you just come in on that? There's a couple of questions about the goalkeeper spot as well. Adam is asking about that. Can you just add in the goalkeeper position there? Because again, I was just very flippant about Morsey. Walton will be back. That's
perhaps that's more an interesting one, isn't it? Because clearly he
rubbing
was
your chin.
Clearly, up till last weekend, he wasn't happy with either Hladky or certainly not Holy. And Walton came straight in. Hladky again's given him perhaps a nice problem, a bit of a tricky problem, which is, as you say, never a bad problem for the manager to have. So that'll be interesting. But once we find out what this how serious this might be a really serious injury. Hopefully it's not. Might be a really serious injury, abductor. I'm obviously not quite sure, but hopefully it's not. It'll be interesting to see what he does. But I would have thought that, look, he'd just go with the same. Why would he not just go with the same team next week? Injuries permitting, other than Coulson.
A couple of people asking about the number 10 spot, Dave. Alex there, do we need to reevaluate the 10? The idea of a silky forward might not suit us in League One. I think this, before you come back in it, I think this number 10 position, I think, like to Alex's point there, has modernised a bit. Everyone kind of thinks about, I don't know, Teddy Sheringham or Beardsley or Cantona, and then like just sort of Riquelme playing behind, but it can very much be, and we've continually mentioned Nick Powell, who's very, very good at one thing, running into the box and headering goals basically and finishing stuff. So what about this tension then between the forwards potentially trying to get that position, one of the wide players trying to get that position? Does feel like potentially in that squad, I mean, Craig, you can probably reel them off. and I'm not joking, 10 players could play in that position. Where are you with this now, Dave? Selena has the shirt.
It's a free and easy, but it's an odd position, isn't it? Because it almost worked. Well, I say tactically seemed to work for us yesterday. You know, Selena and I wasn't there yesterday, but listening to Brenner and Alex Matthews. So, Alex Matthews talking about Selena in that position. Yeah, lovely player. You can see technically he's probably head and shoulders above everyone else on the pitch. However, he can be a bit loose in possession. There was once or twice where I think he was trying quite extravagant back heels and flicks and tricks, and Craig had probably seen that, and he said he's perhaps a little bit too free and easy in possession, and it seemed to work perhaps in that more, when we were backs to the wall in the last 20 minutes or so, when Harper came on, and perhaps again filled that role, filled his central role, but filled it, and perhaps a little bit more, as I said, 20-30 yards further forward up the pitch. We just looked a little bit more in control of things. But again, it's just a nice, my God, if you pitch Selena in there and Selena stays in there pretty much injury free, God hope for the rest of the season, I'll use it. We're going to be there or thereabouts, aren't we? Because he's just going to rip teams apart, isn't he? He just is. It's quite a nice. It's a nice thing. I always think this 10 things are bloody fallacy anyway. The first time I ever saw it, and again harping back, as I always have the opportunity to, the best player I've ever seen doing it in any sort of formation is Eric Gates. Best, in my opinion, the best. So clever. But it'll be interesting. And again, maybe it will be horses for courses. Perhaps if we start to gain a momentum, we have sort of home games and we're on top and dominating teams, you'll see Selena playing there, and then perhaps a more. That'll revert back to a more defensive role.
That's a great point. Before you come in on that, I was just going to say that, Dave, because you can make a choice as to what type of number 10 you're going to have. Because if we literally, I've just brought the squad up there. If you're watching on YouTube, they can all do it in a slightly different way. And we all know that a number 10 who drifts back and gets the ball off central midfielders is a number 8 literally anyway. So you could do that with a sort of Harper type player. You can even do that with a Tom Carroll type player as well. Do you know what I mean? You could literally drop the central midfield in. You could use Selena like yesterday. Then we've got the idea of someone like a Pigott or even Bonne doing it. I know we don't want to move Bonne away from the goal when he's scoring so many goals. And you I always mention Vidra for Derby, played number 10 for a season. Was top scorer in the championship. Like you say, Dave, just because he's a striker with a brain more than a goal scorer. What's your take on this, Craig? Could it literally be right, I'll drop this one in this week or this one in next week?
Yeah, exactly that, and you can do it during the match, as Dave said. Yesterday we may have been in a position whereby Selena was starting to blow a little bit, so you want more of a like for like. So you bring Chaplin on to play at number 10, or you want to go a bit longer, so you bring Pigott on to play in that number 10 with Run, or even did Norwood. Norwood's done it for as well. You got Fraser playing wide left currently, or he's played number 10 for MK, so you can bring him to be sort of an in-betweener, a Harper and a Selena type number 10. You got Harper you brought in as a number 10. There's just a ridiculous amount of options.
Louis Barry.
I mean, you look at it. Look, Edwards hasn't even been in the squad for the last 2 or 3 games. I mean, scary ability. I mean, good God, it's But I think, shoot me down, but if this does start to take off and gain momentum, we could just blow teams away, couldn't we?
I hope so. Be nice, wouldn't it? Craig, I'm going to appeal to your cynical side here and say, guess what kind of a tweet I got? And we'll bring up Mullet's tweet. After the week Cook has had and the manner we greeted him before the game, and Ashton after it, this win is a good reminder of how powerful supporting your club can be. So, Craig, and bear in mind, Bristol City had a very, very good away win at QPR. Guess what happened on my Twitter feed after the game, and then elaborate on the exuberance of our chief executive.
Oh my God! See, I did the Friday show with Rich, and Room 101. I'm going to blow him away with this week's Room 101. It's not even going to be close. But I had one of 2 choices. I had the one that I put in, which was kids holding up, "I want your shirt. Can I have your shirt?" signs.
Think of the children.
Yeah.
The other one was going to be
I'm all for that.
Bloody Bristol City fans just jumping on. a loss, an Ipswich Town loss. Oh, there's loads of Bristol City fans. Oh, this is what Ashton gets you. This is what Ashton gets you. The hell's it got to do with Ashton? Anyway, yes, so good for him. And you know, it's a little bit weird that he's going along high-fiving the crowd and crowd surfing with his Herman Riderson shirt on his back and stuff like that. A little bit crazy. But no, fair play to him. You know, he's this poor sod's worked so bloody hard in the last 8 weeks, 10 weeks, how long he's been here. He must think, Christ almighty, just give us a win to enjoy. And yeah, good. I'm glad he is. So I spoke to him briefly, Clang, at Cheltenham, and he was, again, just approachable. You know, we're saying about Paul Cook being approachable, just approachable to talk to and have a chat. And, you know, we'll just shoot the breeze for a little while. I'm just so pleased for all of them. The pressure just must have been such a release yesterday, rather than a reef, just a release of pressure. Let them enjoy it. Good luck to them.
Dave, if you hadn't guessed, I had some Bristol City fans pop up in my timeline yesterday commenting on.
It was on the. I think they appeared on the forum as well, or someone posted some stuff on.
I think Ross from the paper had a good video of like following Ashton.
I saw it. Yeah,
along doing his wrestler's entrance where he's slapping hands and kissing babies. But yeah, there you go.
I'm sure GB was in amongst there somewhere, but I'm not sure.
He probably can't remember if it was a away game involving the train. Bless him. Good old GB. Check out the Naked Football Show every Wednesday night as well. Thank you everybody for getting your questions in. Once again, you can follow on Twitter at Blue Monday ITFC, and that's for the flagship questions. And when we're on the live show, make sure you've subscribed to YouTube, and you can ask your questions in real time and get involved in the debate. Those shows are normally on Wednesday, although we've been up against games and whatnot, so we might go a bit later this Wednesday night, but follow the Twitter to find out about that. The table. And yes, okay. Ipswich still in 19th position and still not yet at the 1 point per game kind of. Actually, in League One, it tends to skew even slightly higher than that for survival, with four teams relegated rather than 3. But hopefully those are not the standards we're going to be judging this team by long term. So, I mean, is your glass half empty or half full? It's the first win, the first clean sheet, and you can see a run of 5 points in 4 games. So hopefully moving above that threshold and closer to 1.5 or 2 points per game going forward. And David, it is Sheffield Wednesday next, who've had a little slide. I think they drew against Shrewsbury.
Yeah, they did.
Yesterday.
Bannon missed the pen. Yeah, saw that.
Really?
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
So how are you looking at this? We talk about big clubs in League One. Welcome along next week, Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be good, won't it? I mean, especially after a win. I mean, again, our support both home and obviously away has been magnificent. I don't know what the average is, but I think we've been looking at 19, 20, around that 19,000, 20,000 mark. We all know Sheffield Wednesday will bring great support. So it'll be a good atmosphere. They always bring good support. So just looking forward to that. And, you get a win there. Hot on the heels of that, Tuesday week is Doncaster at home, who are obviously struggling. So you'd be hoping for, you would on the back of yesterday, hoping for some momentum and 6 points from those 2 games, and things suddenly look a lot rosier.
Great.
And some teams are struggling there. I mean, just looking at results yesterday, don't know if you're going to cover those, but Portsmouth losing at home to Cambridge, for goodness sake. Sunderland throwing away a 2-goal lead at at Fleetwood.
Charlton again, didn't they? Lost again.
Charlton lost again.
Really?
A couple of goals from McCleary for Wickham yesterday. Looked really good at whatever he old he is, 34, 35. Again, looking at that, just comments on who we played so far. Any great surprise to see MK Dons up there? I think probably they're the most impressive side I've seen so far.
Gillingham had a man sent off early, didn't they?
To be fair,
they were 1-0 up, Gillingham, and they had man sent off. I think then you can see what MK Dons would have done after that. They'd just passed the hell out of them, wouldn't they?
Passed all over them. Yeah, and Wigan top. I mean, obviously a lot have been said about Our manager's former number 2, and now the Wigan coach. The top couple for Wyke. I think his first 2 goals yesterday, and another one for Mullet. Does it Mullet's favourite? Good old Will Keane. Mullet's mate, Will Keane. Yeah.
Craig, before we come to you, I apologise for doing this, Dave, but my phone has just flashed up to tell me that Jimmy Greaves has sadly died at the age of 81. So, Dave, just have a little think. And if you can give us a couple of thoughts, I know, sorry, that's a horrible thing to react to immediately. Craig, do you want to just talk about Sheffield Wednesday, and then just while we're recording here, we'll just come to Dave on Jimmy Greaves?
Yeah. Well, pretty much as Dave said, it's an opportunity to build some momentum now, isn't it? And as Dave said again, they will bring a lot of fans. We've been getting nigh on 20,000 fans with only 200, 300 opposition fans. Well, they'll be bringing 1,200 fans, won't they? And they'll be making a hell of a lot of noise as well. That's one thing they always do, as always make a hell of a lot of noise. So the atmosphere should be good. We're on the back of a decent win. So let's just, as Dave said again, Doncaster on the Tuesday, Accrington on the Saturday, who got their arse handed to them by Wigan, didn't they? So yeah, let's start to build something now.
Yeah, and then the next time. So the next 3 home games, Craig, obviously Sheffield Wednesday, Donny, Accrington away, then Shrewsbury at home. So, yeah.
Just quickly on that, Dave, I know our listeners like to hear you talking about the great players and a great striker and a TV great as well. Can you just give us
Jimmy Greaves? Goal machine. Absolute goal machine. Wherever he played, started at Chelsea, obviously went to Spurs twice, AC Milan. I think scored on his debut with every single team he played for, including I think West Ham, which I think was perhaps his last move to a top division over here. England, phenomenal England player. England, I think, pretty much up there in England's top 5 goal scorers. I think just behind. Well, obviously it's moved on now. Rooney, Lineker, Charlton, but I think next comes Greaves. He's got 48 international goals. And the thing you always think about Jimmy Greaves would have been a shoo-in right for the World Cup right the way through. Always, Ramsey's would have been Ramsey's centre forward. Ramsey's number 9 until he picked up an injury against France in the group stage of the World Cup. And we all know his struggles later on in life with alcoholism and stuff like that. And I've read his book, and fascinating book really. And I think a lot of it boils down to that he could never quite get over. Get over that. Obviously very proud to be a member of that World Cup winning side and World Cup winning squad. But history would have probably been rewritten. Who knows? It would never have been Geoff Hurst. It would have been Jimmy Greaves. So, yeah, just phenomenal player. And I think still at the top level, still holds the. Let's put the Premier League, to one side. Still holds, I'm sure, the record for the most. His goals to games ratio is just off the charts, absolutely ridiculous. And Craig, sad news. And I know he's really been struggling. I think with dementia. I think that's what he had, sadly. But a lot of obviously younger generation, or slightly younger generation than me, and perhaps your generation, Ben, would remember him as part of St. Greavesy. Brilliant. It was sort of staple Saturday lunchtime TV in the 80s, wasn't it? In the 80s, wasn't it?
I was just going to bring Craig in on that. We see Roy Keane and Micah Richards now, or Carragher and Neville. Certainly the forerunner to 2 ex-players, sort of with charisma and, before football really became a big TV event, was St. Greavesy, wasn't it, Craig?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. And actually, if people have got, is it BT Sport? I think there's that documentary, isn't there? There's like an hour and a half documentary on Greavesy, and when he goes over, they talk a lot about when he went over to Italy, didn't he? He went to AC Milan very briefly. Don't think he fancied it too much over there, did he? So he came back and then played about 300 games for Spurs and scored over 200 goals for him. So he's probably made the right decision there.
His goals to games is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And you've probably seen all sorts of goals. What a player! Yeah.
But as you say, and again, we talked about people being approachable and nice guys. These are certainly these old, older footballers from that certain era were just lovely blokes on the telly. They were nice guys.
We had Ray Crawford on the show, Craig. Exactly.
Caught the bus. Caught the bus from Norwich Road to get to Portman Road.
Incredible. Apologies to throw that in. We're recording on Sunday morning and it just broke. And I thought if we've got Dave on, it's a football podcast. We'll pay tribute to Jimmy Greaves, who sadly died today, aged 81. that is our show, gentlemen. Sorry to put a dampener on it with that news at the end, but generally a feeling of relief, if I can go there, Craig, and the Bermuda Triangle and the red tape, red herring, which I like. But it could be you could write like a Michael Crichton novel, the red tape, red herring. Maybe not. Craig, where can people find you on Twitter, and when are we seeing you next on the channel?
I'm at Fims75 TBC when I'm on next. I've been on a fair bit recently, so maybe it's my turn to be rotated off.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. There's plenty of shows coming up, obviously, with the Wednesday live Q&A, and then we'll be back obviously on Friday. Richard will be back with the
I think Seb's back, isn't he?
Yeah, great to have Seb back, obviously, as well. David, where can people find you? Have you got like a red tape, red herring type sort
of? Not really, mate. No
thing to add in.
At Dave Diamond 3. Can I just put a shout out? I went to the latest production at the Wolsey Friday evening, which is the Never Lost at Home, which was pretty much the follow-up to the Our Blue Heavens 78 Cup run production, which was 3 years ago now at the Wolsey. And I went Friday evening, magnificent again, brilliant music from again my era, sort of like early 80s, and tells a story very well. And a lot of the same cast, a lot of the cast that was in the former the 78 productions in this one as well. And the same guy, I think his name's Peter Pevley, that plays Bobby Robson, is just uncanny, sort of ridiculous. I think he was struggling with a cold as well, but absolutely unbelievable. And then right at the end, fantastic. Right at the end, Mickey Mills comes in. So what a night. Yeah, fantastic. Standing ovation all round for that. Recommend it.
Go and check it out down at the Wolsey, and check us out. We've already plugged the social media bits and bobs. If within the kindness of your heart, this podcast will always be free. But if you do feel like you want to financially support, give a little bit back, you can do so at whatever level you decide via the Acast supporter facility. You can do so via super chat and super sticker during the YouTube live shows or any premiere shows on YouTube as well. And if you take a look on our Twitter as well, we've got a PayPal thing. Again, the podcast will always be free, but if you feel like you want to reach out and support, you can do so those methods. Craig, say goodbye in the cleanest way possible.
Goodbye.
David, say goodbye.
Goodbye and much relief.
Just it's so unnecessary.